Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is on the floor discussing the very same legislation. Let's listen in.
I couldn't be prouder, Mr. President, of our colleagues. Our nation needed us to go big and go fast, and they did. The creative policies our chairman crafted in just a couple of days' time remain the central building blocks of the proposal we will pass today. But Republicans knew the nation had no time for conventional political gamesmanship. So the instant we released our first draft, I created a series of bipartisan working groups. I asked Republicans and Democrats to work together around the clock, literally around the clock, to make the bill even better. By Sunday, we had an updated proposal that was even stronger and contained even more ideas, literally from both sides. Both sides. Republicans and Democrats had worked together to dramatically strengthen and rework unemployment insurance during this crisis. We had worked together to make sure lower-income families could receive the full cash assistance, and on and on. Well, Mr. President, I'll leave it to others to compare the bipartisan Sunday bill to the final version we will pass today and determine whether the last few changes really required or merited 3 days of delay. 3 days of delay in the face of this worsening crisis. But that Washington drama does not matter anymore. The Senate is going to stand together, act together, and pass this historic relief package today. Struggling Americans are going to go to their mailboxes and find four-figure checks to help with their bills. Why? Because the Senate stepped up. Many American families who poured everything into a restaurant or a shop or a small manufacturer are going to keep making payroll and keep their businesses alive because this Senate stepped up. Hundreds of thousands of workers in key sectors who might well have been laid off through no fault of their own will instead get to keep their job and continue their career because this Senate stepped up. And for the healthcare heroes who leave their own sleeping children and drive to the hospital for an all-night shift, who spend hour after hour healing the sick, comforting strangers, and literally battling this disease. There will be more masks in their supply closets, more funding for their hospitals, and soon more new treatments to administer to their patients because this Senate stepped up. So today, Mr. President, the Senate will act to help the people of this country weather this storm. Nobody thinks legislation can end this. We cannot outlaw the virus. And no economic policy could fully end the hardship so long as the public health requires that we put so much of our nation's commerce on ice. This is not even a stimulus package. It is emergency relief. Emergency relief, that's what this is. No, this fight is not going to be won or lost in Washington. It's the American people who will beat this virus. Americans will keep making sacrifices to slow down the spread. Americans will keep pitching in and looking after each other. Americans will keep finding creative ways to stand united, even if they have to stand 6 feet apart. We'll win this fight because of people like Amy Jean Tyler, a stay-at-home mom in Oldham County, Kentucky, who's leading a drive to sew cotton masks for a local children's hospital. We'll win this fight because of people like Pastor Grant Hasty in Stearns, Kentucky, who's gathered volunteers to distribute more than 550 home-cooked meals. We'll win this fight because of people like Peg Hayes, who runs a distillery in Christian County, Kentucky, and is temporarily converting her bourbon-making facilities to churn hand sanitizer. We'll win this fight because national companies are switching production lines to make medical supplies, because our largest high-tech companies are partnering with the government to throw supercomputing power right into the race for vaccines. We'll win this fight because of families, neighbors, and church communities that cannot even worship together in person, because of small businesses, big businesses, public health, PhDs, and local entrepreneurs. It's been 18 years since every American was united in amazement and prayer as firefighters and first responders rushed into burning buildings on September the 11th, 2001. In the coming days and weeks, our nation is going to meet new heroes. Many may be police, firefighters, and EMTs once again. Many others will be truck drivers, grocery store clerks, and pharmacists who literally keep our supply chains running. Utility workers and delivery drivers who leave their homes so everyone else can remain in theirs. Teachers who somehow manage to keep educating their students over the internet while looking after their own kids at the very same time. And most of all, we're going to meet a whole lot of American heroes who wear scrubs and masks and gloves. Heroes who rush toward the sick and wash their hands until they bleed and work around the clock to heal our friends and our families. When our nation comes through this and takes flight again on the other side, it will be because American heroes won this fight. All the Senate can do is to give them the resources to do it, and that's exactly what we're going to do today.